Maria and Evelyn were known throughout the small town of Coldridge as the Good Sisters, not because they were holy or belonged to any religious order, but because they were kind, soft-spoken, and always willing to help anyone in need. They lived in an old Victorian house at the end of Alder Lane, a house many whispered about, though no one dared to speak openly when the sisters walked by with their calm smiles and gentle eyes. The Good Sisters ran a small herbal clinic from their home, where they treated the sick using concoctions passed down, they claimed, from their grandmother's ancient remedy book. People found relief from all sorts of ailments, fevers, infections, pain, and so the sisters became saviors in Coldridge, trusted by everyone. But behind those warm smiles and comforting hands, something dark lurked beneath their kindness, something no one wanted to believe could exist in women so gracious. The story of their true nature began when Clara Winslow, a curious and ambitious young reporter, moved to town. Clara had left the bustling city life behind after losing her job and fiancé in a cruel twist of fate. Desperate to start fresh and rebuild her career, she took up work at the local newspaper, whose most exciting headlines usually involved seasonal fairs or missing cats. She longed for a big story, something that would prove her worth again. The first time Clara met the Good Sisters was when she fell terribly ill shortly after her move. Feverish and shaking, she had been visited by Maria and Evelyn, who claimed they were simply checking on a new resident. That's what Good Sisters did. They gave her a strange black tea that tasted of earth and metal. Within hours, she was better. Clara was baffled but grateful, though she noticed something unsettling. While she was sipping the tea, both sisters watched her with intense fascination, like they were studying the effect rather than comforting her. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She dreamt of vines wrapping around her body, digging into her skin, and she could hear Evelyn whispering, "You're perfect, so strong." Clara awoke gasping and drenched in sweat. The next day at the newspaper office, she overheard two elderly workers whispering about the sisters. One said she trusted them more than the local hospital. The other replied, "Trust is good, but why have so many people disappeared after visiting them?" Clara's ears sharpened. Disappearances? She pretended not to listen, but her heart pounded with excitement. This could be her story. That evening, she began digging through old newspaper archives. Over the last decade, more than 24 residents had left town suddenly. No trace, no forwarding addresses. Each one had sought help from the Good Sisters shortly before their disappearance. Clara's instincts ignited. She needed proof, something beyond coincidence. She made an appointment the next afternoon, pretending she wanted help with chronic anxiety and sleeplessness. When she arrived, the house smelled of burning herbs and damp soil. The walls were decorated with strange symbols made of braided roots. Evelyn guided her to a dimly lit parlor where Maria waited by a table holding jars of weird dried plants and vials filled with crimson liquid. "We can help," Maria said, her voice silky. "But first, we must make sure you're compatible." A chill ran through Clara. She played it cool, pretending curiosity while mentally recording every detail. Maria pricked Clara's finger with a thorn and caught a drop of blood into a small vial. The sisters watched as it swirled inside like smoke caught underwater. Evelyn smiled, too wide, too hungry. "You are very special," she whispered. "We rarely find such purity." Clara forced a laugh and left as soon as she could, feeling as if she had narrowly escaped a trap. Back home, pain suddenly shot through her veins. Black veins crawled up her arm from where she'd been pricked. Horrified, she wrapped it in a cloth and decided to return at night, when she could sneak inside unnoticed. Clara waited until moonlight cut through the foggy, Coldridge night. Armed with her phone flashlight and a small pocket knife, she slipped through the backyard and entered the house through a cellar door left slightly open. The smell hit her first, rot blood and wet roots. The cellar floor was covered in soil, but something moved beneath it, writhing softly like worms. Clara swallowed her fear and pressed forward, following faint chanting. Through a crack in a wooden door, she saw a horrifying ritual underway. A man, the missing baker from town, lay unconscious on a stone slab entwined with vines. Maria and Evelyn stood over him, their eyes glowing faint green as they chanted in a language not of this world. Vines slid from their fingertips, rooting themselves into the man's chest as he convulsed. The sisters leaned closer, inhaling deeply like they were feeding on his life force. Clara gasped before she could stop herself. The sisters froze and turned toward the door as though they could see through the cracks. Clara fled, heart slamming against her ribs. She dashed up the stairs into the hallway. But the house seemed alive. Vines slithered across the floor like snakes. She stumbled into a room where jars containing floating eyeballs stared at her. Mouths sewn shut on preserved heads silently screamed. She found a shelf full of belongings, rings, watches, ID cards, trophies of the vanished. Panic surged as she realized the sisters were not healers. They were parasites feeding on the life energy of the town. Clara grabbed proof. Photos, IDs, her phone stuffed with pictures. She turned to leave when a voice echoed behind her. "You should not have come back." Maria stood in the doorway, eyes glowing, long dark vines twitching behind her like monstrous limbs. Clara fought her way past, slashing vines with her knife, sprinting toward the exit. But Evelyn appeared, blocking the front door. "We helped you. We honored you. Why would you betray us?" she hissed, her voice layered like multiple voices speaking at once. Clara's infected arm pulsed with agony. The veins now reached her shoulder. Evelyn extended her vines toward her. Clara screamed and ran upstairs, finding a window. She jumped, landing hard and rolling, bones aching. She ran until her lungs burned, not stopping until she reached the police station. Authorities arrived at the house, but it was empty. The cellar was freshly cemented, every trace gone. The sisters vanished without a sign. Clara was treated for her infection, but doctors had no idea what spread through her veins. The town turned against her, calling her delusional, accusing her of smearing the only women who genuinely helped people. Clara's story was dismissed as attention-seeking. Yet weeks later, the missing baker returned home, alive but hollow, his skin pale like drained clay, eyes lifeless. When asked about the good sisters, he whispered only one sentence: "They will grow again." Coldridge tried to go back to normal, but gardens began sprouting black vein plants that twisted like vines of the cellar. Pets went missing. Strange whispers filled the wind. Clara, now recovering but still marked by a scar of black veins, refused to give up. She continued her investigation alone, determined to expose the sisters. One night, as she reviewed her notes, she felt a familiar chill. A soft knock echoed through her apartment. She slowly approached the door, heart racing. Through the peephole, she saw nothing, until two ever-kind smiles slowly rose into view. Maria and Evelyn stood there, eyes glimmering with ancient hunger. "We are still the good sisters," Maria said sweetly. "And you, dear Clara, are still perfect." Then everything went dark. No one in Coldridge ever saw Clara again. But sometimes, late at night, townsfolk swear they hear scratching on their windows and a voice, soft and sweet, whispering, "We are here to help." And the gardens keep growing.